All right.
Sometimes the media, we have to take the loss. A new study from the University of Maryland found in 2016, journalists missed the story.
Yeah, Fox 5's Tom Fitzgerald joins us now with exactly what all of this means. Fitz?
Yeah, hey, the question is this. It's been over a month now since the election, but what you haven't heard a lot from the media organizations is a lot of introspection about how so much of that pre-election coverage got it all so wrong. So we came here to the Philip Merrill College of Journalism on the campus of the University of Maryland to show you this. This is a new analysis that's been put out by the Capitol News Service, the student journalists here at UMD. It's called Anatomy of a Failure. And what this does, folks, it's really an autopsy on how the media got it wrong in 2016. Here to talk a little bit about it are two of the students who helped put this together, Becca King and Barrett Goldberg. Let me ask you first off, why this study? Why did you, as young journalists, think this was necessary?
I mean, I think it's so important as the future journalists of America to take a look at what journalists are doing now.
And Barrett, when you were putting this together, you didn't necessarily know how this election was going to turn out. So you were collecting all through the campaign. When it was over, did you realize that you had something else on your hands?
Yeah, we were kind of watching this unfold as it was happening, and we were not really expecting anything. We were trying to be as impartial as possible, and at the end, we did take a step back and kind of, talked amongst ourselves and figured, we do have something bigger here. We came up with 12 sort of ideas, 12 points that we figured, there's something here we need to take a look at.
Right. And one of the things they did throughout this was kind of break down these different things that go into news services, that, these different effects and influences that go into news coverage that really change the way a story is reported. So each one of you had a different area. Becky, you looked at an interesting one because you looked at the situation where the news media is not talking to rural America enough. What did you find?
So I really took a look at the fact that, we looked at ABC, NBC, and CBS a lot. And these are three networks that are concentrated in urban areas. And there was all these people from the Rust Belt, from different areas, with all this concern for the elite and what was going on.
And people just not listen to them, talk to them?
They couldn't. They're not from that area. They didn't know how to communicate with them. And I think that's what was missing a lot in the coverage.
And Barrett, real quick, you talked about the echo chamber. Too many reporters talking to each other?
Yeah, I looked at groupthink, and some of our pros, thought that, well, unfortunately, most of the media is in the northeastern area, and it creates this bubble that, people just don't get out of. And going off of Becca's point, when that happens, ideas are just bounced off one another, and they're confirmed, and, unfortunately, it creates a narrative that's just the same thing.
Right. I would suggest that both of you are pros as well for taking the time to look into this. This is fascinating stuff. Look for it on Google. It's the Capitol News Service. It's called Anatomy of a Failure. It's a young journalist looking at what a lot of these older journalists did and did not do correctly in campaign 2016. Sean, Jim, back into you.
It's good they're doing this early in their careers and really figuring out that part of our job is just to listen.
Yeah, it is. I also think it's really cool that they're that young and they're looking at this process. Once they get to be our ages, maybe we won't see the same sorts of things happening.
There you go.
Different things. All right.
Let's bring in Sue right now to look at the forecast, and we're getting a little close to the middle of the week, and this is about the turning point for